Hi, this second video continues to examine how primary schools teach their children to be more aware and care for their immediate environment. Now with this video, the focus is on teaching children that food on their plate does not come from the supermarket, but from the earth. Because of COVID restrictions, I've had to rely on photographs and an edited podcast with the lead teacher, Ed, interviewed by Mark Taylor, NAPE's Vice Chair.
I saw a great opportunity to embed the environment within the school. They had these fantastic grounds, but no facilities, no garden. The children had no understanding of the environment, where their food came from, how to recycle, what you needed to recycle. And I thought, this is where children need to be learning and for their future. We started with a garden. I spent my half term designing and making a garden, putting a whole garden together, going around all the garden centres and asking for contributions to our garden, and that's sort of where we started. We then went on to making a plastic bottle greenhouse. So that sort of galvanised our school and our community, and we needed to collect 1,500 plastic bottles. We had the local community in, the firefighters and the Prince's Trust. They helped the whole of year 3, which were 90 children, on the school field to put this amazing plastic bottle greenhouse structure together, and we still have it now, and that was 4 years ago.
Try and describe what it looks like. Is it literally what I would perceive to be a traditional kind of greenhouse made out of bottles? Is that correct?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's got a roof. It's got four walls, door. Like it's a wooden frame with bottles being threaded through bamboo canes, and then they're screwed to the frame, and then each frame is put onto 4 pillars. And then with a roof, we got a green door, and it gets up to about 30 degrees at the height of the summer inside. All our seedlings go through that greenhouse and then out into our gardens.
Fantastic. And explain sort of the journey of what the children experience in this, because it's not eco as in we're collecting, recycling, send it off and that's it, move on to something else. There's the real reality of kind of, like you say, growing, looking after, consuming, I guess the whole thing in terms of it actually being part of our life, which of course is the most fundamental part of it.
We teach children the importance of life cycles. There's so many cycles within nature, and the children learn from planting that seed to then growing it to a seedling in our plastic bottle greenhouse, then putting it out into our kitchen garden, and then looking after that vegetable plant, that fruit bush, and then harvesting what they've grown, and then taking it into the classroom and actually cooking with it. We're fortunate that we've got a technology room. We've also got a fire pit outside, so children can actually do the wild and do some nature cooking. It's really important to use that food, that wastage, to then put into our ridden food waste composter, and we make rich compost, which then goes back onto our gardens to then help grow our vegetables again. So it's a whole cycle. So many more children with their parents are growing their own fruit and veg at home, whether they've taken on an allotment locally, or they've found an area within their garden that they can use, or brought in pots if they live in a flat, or they've joined. There's like a local community garden. They've gone down there to experience the outdoors, and I think particularly in what we've seen in the last 6 months, that's really been really important for their health and well-being, and I think we've seen a lot more take up gardening in that time.
I think education as a whole, when it's related to you as an individual, there's nothing more personal than, eating and drinking and breathing. And it's something you can recognize. It's something, that's important inherently. And to be involved in that within the school learning environment, I think that just goes hand in hand so beautifully.
They can grow something, and then at the end of it, they're getting like a reward for what they've done, that whole process. is just magical, from seeing that little seed turn into a plant, then into like some produce, which then you can harvest, and then which you can eat, and then you can then use that then to then make lovely compost, and it just comes back round again. And I think that the eyes and the passion that you see within the children is just literally magical, and nothing can take that away. It's really important for children to know what fruit and veg they can grow, so we know we can try and keep it local. And we're starting to get what we grow into the classroom for snacks and for lunches. So hopefully, as time moves on, hopefully we can have a more percentage of what we grow within our school on the plates of the children during their school day.
It's the skills like patience, understanding, nurturing. Those sorts of things are, I think, really important, especially these days where everything is so immediate.
Working with a team, these are all the practical skills that they'll need for later life and their adulthood, and so important that we can teach them now through getting out into nature and looking after their environment. And it's a win-win for everybody. We want to give children a different an idea of that there are different types of vegetables out there, that you don't just get orange carrots, you can get purple ones, yellow ones. We link that back to diversity, which we think is really important, that you can get different types of fruits and vegetables.
Tell me a little bit about the reality of having this as a project within your school, because I can hear lots of people thinking that sounds fantastic, but I just don't know within our school setup how that would work, whether it's time, whether it's focus, whether it's how you would embed it practically. Well, it sounds like you arrived and had the idea and were able to run with it. Is that because you have a supportive senior leadership team? Is it because you just had the enthusiasm that people wanted to support through you? How do you think it came about?
I think it came about through my passion. I think you always need somebody at the top being passionate and following this through and giving out advice and ideas how this could work. Got a great leadership team that wants to have an eco school from the start, part of the school's ethos. And then the staff were given lots of time and patience to get their heads around how this might work within their class setting. We've got some fantastic volunteers that come in from the local community that might not have a garden, or they've got an allotment and they've got great knowledge of gardening, and they support our gardening work in the afternoons. So each class can get out and work with our volunteers, and they've been a real great asset to our school.
It sounds fantastic, and I love the whole aspect of community within schools. I think there's such a wealth of experience outside of the school gates, and I know it gets harder and harder these days in terms of allowing people in and out of schools because of safeguarding and all of that. But I think once you realise the benefits of it, and it's worth the time and the application to make sure that it works properly, it just completely changes the environment, I think.
Yeah, totally agree. Without the support and from the local community, I don't think our eco work would be where it is now.
So Ed, thank you so much for joining us. I think it's been a really insightful conversation about how something so fundamental to our lives is making such a big impact, obviously, in the pupils in your school. But I'm really excited about how we can share all that practical advice going forward for everyone involved in NAPE. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Details of all the NAPE podcasts can be found and played on our website. We are indebted to Damer's First School for their help in producing this video.